This image in particular will really transition us into the next presentation, where Geoffrey talks about and explores the relationship and dynamic between us in the generation following the Holocaust, our relationship with our ancestors. This image, when I see it, I see the smoke from one side and the shadow soul on the other side, and the question and dynamic between us and the shadow of the Holocaust and those lives that we lost in the fire of the smoke. What is our dynamic in that, and how do we come together in this moment of sacrifice and korbanot? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Rabbi Ysoscher Katz and Geoffrey Laurence. A reminder to anyone who is unmuted, just to stay muted so we can hear the presenters crystal clear. Geoffrey Laurence is an American realist painter. He lives and works in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Born in Paterson, New Jersey, child of Holocaust survivors, he was brought up and educated in London, England. He attended the Byam Shaw School of Art, LCAD, painting, London College of Printing, New York Academy of Art, exhibited USA and Europe, Las Vegas Museum, and all over the world. We also have here Rabbi Ysoscher Katz, for those who weren't present for the...
No need to go over my bio, it's fine.
Okay.
That's right.
So without further ado, Rabbi Ysoscher, could you give us a little insight into this image?
Yeah, so I'm going to really speak just for 1 minute because I feel that Geoffrey has a tremendous amount to say. Something that was very unique about working with Geoffrey is that it was the first time that I had the privilege of being exposed to the process of making art, not just to the final product. And I never appreciated the depth and the Torah, really, the learning that goes into being privy to the process of making art. And I, again, find that the timing and the coordination of the Parsha was incredible, because Parshat Achrei Mot, for those of you who know, a big part of Parshat Achrei Mot talks about the process of the Avodah in the Beit HaMikdash in Yom HaKippurim. And there, actually, the entire discussion is about process. You should do A, which was followed by B, which was followed by C. And at least according to rabbinic tradition, if you mess up the process, the entire enterprise, the entire edifice falls apart. So, you know, when we go to a museum, when we go to a art show, when we go to a gallery, we see the final product, and there's something to be learned from the final product, but we must never have the opportunity or the privilege to see how the product came about and what went into that process. I would love for Geoffrey to share a little bit of what I've learned over this year of working with Geoffrey, and mostly just observing how Geoffrey develops the piece, and also the thought and the energy and the depth that goes into putting together a piece until it is done. And I think I'm going to jump the gun by telling you that one of the many things I learned from Geoffrey is that the word done on a piece of art is an oxymoron. A piece of art, at least from Geoffrey's perspective, is never done. So Geoffrey, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank Veer and Ysoscher so much for giving me the opportunity to be involved in this project. Unlike most of the people involved in the project, I wasn't brought up as a Jew. In fact, my Judaism was denied to me quite fervently, and it became the elephant in the room, and I only had it really acknowledged, you know, much later in life. So for me to be involved in a project to do with an Orthodox community, that was serious rebellion. And I was telling Ysoscher that when I did the Passover ceremony by myself on East 2nd Street in New York, and followed the directions on my own for the first time, I wasn't sure if there was going to be a bolt of lightning come through the window. So, I took the project very seriously, and being given the inheritance I had, I think all of my work has been influenced by the Holocaust in some way or other. And I've worked on different questions that I had about the Holocaust that I painted about. I mean, my painting was therapy for me and still is. And so, yes, this is still a part of the series that I've made over the last 20 years, but well, not 20 years, 18 years. But at the same time, I felt very much that the subject of atonement has revolved around my head for years, because I don't know if atonement is possible. And working through the year and talking to Ysoscher about atonement, I explored this idea of is it possible as a question? How do you atone for 6 million dead Jews? How do you atone for that? How do you atone for all of the other atrocities? I don't think it's possible. As I said in the other presentation, I think you can achieve acceptance, and I think you can achieve forgiveness, but atonement, I'm not sure. And I mean, I don't even know if you can atone for the argument you had with your sister or your mother or whoever. I think that was the basis of my entry into this. And I don't speak Hebrew, so I couldn't understand the language of the piece, but Veer very kindly sent me a translation. And I approached it as part of my Holocaust series. Can we have the progression slides? So I started off with a drawing. My process, as Ysoscher says, the paintings are never finished. They're just part of the process of thinking about something. And I started off making a drawing, or actually making several drawings, and I ended up choosing this one as the basis of what I was going to do. And originally, I had thought about being literal to the text and having blood on the hands. But I made the temple Auschwitz in the background. And the goats obviously symbolize us. So next slide. So here's the beginning of the painting. I paint in layers, which, as you know, it fits in with my idea of painting being a process that's never finished. I don't believe in final images. I think that a lot of the great paintings of the world simply stopped where they stopped, and the artists would have gone on to change them. So next slide. So here we have a more finished underpainting in just black and white. Next slide. And then I start thinking about the middle layer, which is just two colors, warm and cold. And I put a warm glaze over, because my thinking was to make this very much about a question going upwards towards Yahweh, not focusing on a total environment, but to have a specific light that is hitting Aaron. Next slide. And so here we have a progression of the warm, cool stage. This is just two colors in white. And you can see that I've started putting Auschwitz in the background quite clearly. And, you know, I wanted to put that Arbeit macht frei in because it represented the cruelty that went with the sacrifice. The ironic and horrific cruelty of putting that there. So, but at this point, I realized that I did not want Auschwitz to be so prominent. And I talked to Ysoscher about it at the time. Next slide. So here I'm approaching the final stage. I mean, we've missed a few, I think. but the full color stage where I use whatever colors I feel are necessary. And as you can see, I obscured Auschwitz in the back there because I felt, first of all, that I wanted it to appear as if you're arriving there at night, but also I didn't want it to be such a focus. And this is where it stopped. I mean, I'm letting the painting dry. I'll probably fiddle with it again. I'm not happy with the smoke of the incense, but the smoke obviously represents what it represents, but I feel that it ought to be a sort of slightly dirty gray color. Anyway, it's interesting that Tobi chose to do an image with smoke in white too. Because the smoke to me is such an icon of our experience in the 20th century. Most of my family went up in smoke. So, and I was brought up with very few relatives, but I was also, it was made into a subject that must not be explored. So through the exploration, exploration and the explanations from Ysoscher, I mean, I can't thank Dvir enough for putting me together with Ysoscher, because in our own ways, we're both rebels. Rebels in a personal sense, as well as rebels to the current.
It wouldn't be a Jewish presentation without ending on a question. Rabbi Ysoscher, you have the last word as we move into the next presentation.
No, incredible. I think just Geoffrey really has challenged me in ways that I still have not yet finished processing. I mean, just the powerful question that Geoffrey just ended with, which is a question that we all wonder about. Is it ever enough? Isn't that what Tevi asked Filsa, right? You know, maybe choose someone else for a change, you know?
Yes.
I know what it chosen, but can we take a break? You know?
Enough already.
Exactly. Very powerful. What is good. Thank you so much, Geoffrey. Really, you taught me so much.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you.